And it's live, ladies and gentlemen. So, like I told you yesterday or day before yesterday with my main man Ernest, how this is the week of Rahu and Ketu. I mean, we're making this the official week of Rahu every year. So, I have another genius coming to share with you some of the most mysterious, authentic, original information on Rahu and Ketu. And I don't have to introduce this person, you already know him. His name is Dr. Arjun Pai. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Kapil.
You're absolutely welcome.
Thank you.
So what do you got for us today, Doc?
Kapil, see what is happening, as you rightfully said, this is a kind of a week of Rahu. Everybody is so gung-ho about Rahu these days. You go to any channel, everybody seems to be doing videos on Rahu.
Yeah.
Right now, even as we speak, it's just the sun has risen and you can see the sunlight coming.
Yeah.
And this is the time, this is actually, as I said in all my videos, that this is Rahu's time. Rahu is very active.
Like Rahu Kal?
Whenever, no, it's not Rahu Kal. Okay. I will be explaining about Rahu Kal today.
Okay.
But today, the time of transition from night to day, it's called Sandhya Kal. Okay, Sandhya Kal, when the transition happens. And again, in the evening, when the transition happens, it is again called Sandhya Kal. At these transition points, that is when Rahu is most powerful. Okay, and you can also see that Mercury is also very powerful.
Yeah.
So it's quite natural that you see that Rahu becomes very comfortable in Mercury's rashis, which is Gemini and Virgo. Rahu is very comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, so why I wanted to do this video on Rahu, there are so many people who are doing videos on Rahu. There are certain differences that I see with Rahu, unlike what other people visualize Rahu as. Everybody, there is a lot of fear mongering happening, saying that, oh, it's my Rahu Dasha, it's my Rahu Antar Dasha, right? So, but Rahu is, I say Rahu is life sustaining. It's an energy vortex. And because of Rahu, we are here. If not for Rahu, it becomes very difficult for us to move on in life.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I call it, and the ancients called it, because they didn't understand, how this behind the scenes, what is happening, because these were invisible grahas, what they call them. But these were just purely mathematical points, or these were purely energy vortexes, which they found that there was a lot of influence on us, all the living beings.
Which is pretty much known as the Upagraha, you mean, right? Like
what? It is not Upagraha. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now, they also called it as an artificial sun. Okay. Because that is what many people of us do not know. Because why does artificial sun? Because the mannerisms, the attributes of Rahu are very similar to the sun. Okay. So the sun has a very nourishing, nurturing sort of nature, because if not for the sun, there wouldn't have been life on earth. Right? Now, Rahu predominantly has similar nourishing nature, healing nature. Okay, that is on the positive side. And whenever you go on the negative side, that becomes the harsh desert sun. What the desert sun can really take away everything. All vegetation, all animals, everything. Yeah. Okay, it can be very harsh. So similarly, Rahu has that tendency as well.
Then why? Okay, I know. I mean, this is a very unique information, and I kind of knew about this. But then, why do people mainly say, or the scholars of astrology, that Rahu is actually Saturn? And as much as you're saying Sun, which I do believe it's correct, but why is it that it's always linked to Saturn?
Okay, that's a very good question. I'll explain that also, how the energies of Saturn will operate in numerology through Rahu.
Okay.
Okay. So I will be talking about that. See, Saturn is more about structure. Okay, bringing in structure in your life. Rahu and Ketu. Both of these are purely an interplay between the sun and the moon. Okay, it's an interplay between the sun and the moon.
Yeah.
And they are a result, or they are a result of the sun and the moon and the earth, right? And that's when the eclipses happen. So they are a result of that. So predominantly what you see with these lunar nodes, why are they called as lunar nodes? Because that is the interplay between the sun and the moon. Similarly, you could have nodes of different planets. When there is a relationship between the sun and, say, Jupiter, there could be another node which we do not know, just like Rahu. But Rahu and Ketu's influence is quite profound on planet Earth, because the only difference that you see is the moon goes around Earth, right?
Yeah.
And Jupiter and all other planets go around the sun. So the impact of moon on all things that are living, okay, the animate things here, is much more profound, and that is why you see this influence of these planets greater on Earth of these nodes. Okay. Now I will say, okay, I said that it's an artificial sun. Okay, you need to really dive deeper to understand how it sustains life. I've also done a small video on that, and I've shared it. Now what I want to say predominantly, what people have not understood about Rahu and Ketu are quite generational planets. Okay, although you say the outer planets are the generational planets, that is Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they are generational planets because if you go to say Pluto and Neptune, they don't even cross half of your chart during your lifetime.
Yeah.
Okay, how slow they are. So they are generational. Okay, Rahu and Ketu, I call them generational planets or generational grahas from a different perspective. Why I say that is, see, Rahu represents paternal and maternal grandmother. Okay. Now, what you have to understand when you understand the gene theory, okay, what you understand is the genes of your grandparents are much more important than your own parents. Do you understand why? Because gene theory talks about the dominant gene, okay? And in one generation, whenever that gene is dominant, the next generation, the successive generation, it becomes recessive, which means, it becomes dormant, okay? And again, the following generation, which is the grandchildren, again, that gene becomes very dominant within your body. Do you understand? This is gene theory, okay? So you are more likely to be very similar to your grandparents than your own parents.
That is so true, because you know why? My father's father actually had more interest in astrology than my father. My father never cared for astrology. He never was into it. My father was an artist. And my grandfather was the one who brought these astrologers from Darbhanga, from Andhra Pradesh. He brought Jaimini astrologers and wanted to know about astrology. He would bring them over to his house and tell them, okay, so talk to me about astrology. And I never knew this just 2 years ago. With my uncle, my astrologer uncle, he said, I know you've taken astrology far, but let me tell you, you have your genes of your grandfather. He is the one so interested into astrology. So I can see what you're saying. Absolutely true.
Yeah. So this is something which not many people understand, that you are quite similar to the genes of your, the dominant gene in your grandparents is what is, is dominant in you now.
Okay.
So by saying that, I am fluttering a few feathers in the astrological community by saying Rahu and Ketu shape our characteristic traits to a greater extent than the sun and the moon.
Oh, absolutely.
Why? Because the sun and the moon, because the sun and the moon are your parents. The cosmic father, or the father principle that you talk about, is the sun, okay? And the mother principle is the moon, because the moon is the closest to the earth. So the mother wants to be very close to the child, to nurture it, to nourish it, so that is why you see the father and the mother principle in sun and the moon, right? But
I wanted to ask you one thing unique when you're saying that principle of father and mother. In India, they say to little children, including me, that poetry of Chanda Mama. Chanda Mama, do something like that.
Sure, yeah.
And they considered like the moon to be the brother of Earth, to protect Earth from all the meteoroids. So how does that analogy comes into play? Because I was thinking, I'm like, why do they say Chanda Mama, not Chanda Mom or Ma? Chanda
Yeah,
Mama. The
mama.
brother,
It's uncle.
like the sister.
Yeah, or mama is uncle. You know,
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
mama, an uncle. So that's very 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 nice to understand that you consider the moon to be your uncle. See, also remember that the sun, okay, sorry, the moon. Only one side of the moon is always is what we see. Okay, we do
Yeah,
not know what is happening on the other side of the moon,
yeah.
and what we call that is the dark side of the moon.
That's yeah.
The dark side of the moon. And what our ancients believe is the dark side of the moon is very strongly connected with our pitris or our forefathers, our ancestral spirits, all live on the dark side of the moon. Okay, so what you see is whenever you see this cosmic phenomenon of either an amavasya is a new moon, right? Or whenever you see an eclipse, happening, between the moon and the sun is eclipsing the moon is eclipsing the sun. So what happens is the sun is completely glowing on the backside of the
The
moon.
backside of the moon, yeah.
Yeah, what we cannot see, isn't it?
Right.
Now, what happens is in the new moon day, that is what is happening. The ancients believed is because sun is the natural source of light, and sun is the karaka for can take you towards moksha, because that is where, although Ketu is the karaka for moksha, but sun is the path where you go and attain salvation. Whenever you go in the path of the sun, and whenever you go in the path of the moon, you have to come back and reincarnate. Okay, you go through the birth cycle of life and death as per our ancients. And whenever the sun is shining bright on the dark side of the moon, that is when the ancients say the pitris, okay, they leave that side because it is too bright for them. And you see, these pitris cannot take the sunlight, so they essentially come on the earth plane to bless all their descendants. And that is why on new moon you perform all the shrad or the tarpanam, or giving oblations to your ancestors or your forefathers.
Yeah.
Okay, that is the significance. And similarly, whenever you see that the eclipse happens, it's the same phenomenon happening. And you see that whenever the eclipse happens, there is a scientific reasoning I will tell you, and I also tell you what is the Vedic thing. The Vedic says, you do not have to go out of the house. You sit inside the house and you pray, and all of that. So that is more, people believe that is superstition. And today's lesson, I'm going to debunk that and say it is not purely superstition. And they say you shouldn't be eating food for about 6 hours on either side of the eclipse. Okay, the scientific reason behind that is whenever there is an eclipse which happens, the UV radiations. Okay, see, the UV radiations essentially are Rahu. Okay, Rahu's domain, ultraviolet radiation.
Yeah.
And that's what my class is going to be. Now, ultraviolet radiations also has an application of disinfection. Okay, it disinfects, which means it kills germs. Okay, but what happens whenever the eclipse happens, or just a few hours before the eclipse, the ultraviolet radiations are cut down. Okay, so the microbes and the germs, they multiply very, very quickly, very fast, right? So that is the only reason why people always said, even in, you go to the Jains, the Buddhists, they always try to have their meals before the sunset, because that's when they know that the germs multiply very quickly once the sun sets.
Wow. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that is predominantly the scientific reasoning. We do not understand the science behind whatever we do. We say Rahu Kal. I'm going to debunk that as well. I'm going to say it is a very scientific, rational explanation I'm going to give about Rahu Kal.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so what I wanted to say before we start with our lesson is Rahu is all about genetic experimentation that is happening today. Okay, including cloning. Cloning is again Rahu's domain. Genetic, advanced civilizations, genetic mixing, that is all about Rahu. Rahu is the foreign element. Okay, and when there is a lot of interbreeding, what happens between generations or civilizations, and a better breed comes out, then these foreign elements become Ketu personalities. After interbreeding, multiple times, they become Ketu personalities. Now, you would always wonder why the Western civilizations, do not believe in incarnations, right? Because Western civilizations come under a strong influence of Rahu and Saturn, because that is Aquarius. Saturn is controlling Rahu, and Aquarius controls, the overlords of Aquarius are Rahu and Saturn, right? Now, the belief of the Westerners is there is only one life. Okay, that is why that is because of Rahu, because Rahu wants to forget all past connections and concentrate on the future.
Yeah.
All the Western civilization is about focusing on the future, right? Rahu blocks the past, and because it wants to freely delve into their experiences of the current and the future. Okay, so that is why you see Western civilizations have not adopted to these nodes as much, or when you see Western astrology, they have not adopted to these nodes because they believe one life, there is no incarnation.
But is it that big? Now, let's say the Eastern Hemisphere has the influence of Ketu, of past, but the Western has the influence of Rahu. Is there supposed to be, and I know it's going to be the most confusing way to explain this, but isn't that the Western are supposed to believe only in one life because there is this polarization and this dimensions that only exist for the one life people and for multiple life people? Is it because it's not like we can say they're wrong because they are being influenced by Rahu? We can't say that Ketu people are wrong because they're being influenced by Ketu. So which is the ultimate truth? Is it Rahu? Is it Ketu? Or is it both? Or is it something completely different?
See, that is the beauty of the Rahu and Ketu. They are one body actually, essentially, with two different flavors. Okay, their polarities are different. That's why you see the duality coming from these nodes. Okay, and if you understand why the Eastern side is more Ketu dominant, I would say, is because the energies of Sanchita Karma and Prarabdha Karma are much more predominantly on the Western region or the Eastern side. What is Sanchita Karma? Sanchita Karma is when you talk about principles of all the accumulated karma from various lifetimes. Okay, that is Sanchit. But Prarabdha is, in this lifetime, there is only certain karmas you're going to burn from that cumulative karmas that you've accumulated from multiple lifetimes. So specific karmas are going to be burnt in this. That is called as Prarabdha. Okay.
So there's no way to burn the past life karmas and receive moksha in this life.
No. You can only burn what is your Prarabdha. You cannot go and burn everything. That is why the concept of karmas, you have to understand. The concept of karmas is there is no balancing. The first thing, you have a bank balance, you put in money, your bank balance goes up, your balance goes down, isn't it? But remember, in the karma theory, there are two different buckets. One is good karmas and one is bad karmas. I'm putting it very simplistically, just for the sake of the audience. So one you have is the good karmas and the bad karmas. So if you do more good karmas, your balance for good karmas keeps stacking up. And the bad karmas is what you're burning by going through, your trials, your tribulations, your work, all your karmas where you're burning out. So eventually what happens is, whenever you have accumulated good karmas, you have to come back again, take birth again, to go and burn those good karmas or enjoy those good karmas. Okay? So there is no balancing out. Yeah. There is no balancing out. Just please understand. Good karmas means you have to come back again to enjoy those good karmas.
Oh my God.
Okay.
You're killing me, Dr. Pai. So I want to escape everything.
The concept, what our ancients said, is doing a karma. What is a karma? Neither you're doing good karma, neither you're doing bad karma. What is a karma? A karma means just chanting the name of Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. That is what they say is a karma. You're neither creating good karmas, neither you're creating bad karmas. So what happens is, if these, some of the seers, some of the sages, the advanced Maha Siddhas who sit in the Himalayas, they have the ability to trade off their good karmas from many lifetimes by giving blessings. That is what you say, they can give boons. What are those boons? Is your prarabdha doesn't allow you to enjoy it in this lifetime, but this man is trading off his good karmas and giving you a boon or a blessing, and he is altering the prarabdha.
Wow.
Please understand that.
Amazing. Never thought of it that way. Wow.
He is giving you. So do not understand that, okay, there are so many people who are, might go through so, but a spiritual guru, I'm not talking about the gurus that we see on in today's world. These people are never seen. They are all up in the Himalayas. They are sitting in caves. They are meditating for years. Okay. So that is what they're trading of their good karmas. And eventually what they want to do is to reach something called as a state called as Shunya Sthiti. Shunya Sthiti is there is no balance of good karmas, there is no balance of bad karmas. That is when moksha happens. Moksha is when you have exhausted all your good karmas and there are no bad karmas left. That means you're balanced. That means all your account balance is zero. That is Shunya Sthiti. That is when you liberate. That is when you go to moksha. So the concept of moksha that you go to astrologers and people, they're all, it is not the right thing. You can never get moksha unless you go through the cycles, and then you have to go and get your balance to zero.
So okay. Is there, how a sage will give out their balance of positive karma to? Is there a way we can give out our positive karmas and negative karma to somebody else so we are balanced out in this life?
Absolutely. No, that you can, but you should be knowing how to do that. People who activate their kundalini have those shaktis or those powers to do that. That's a different thing. Commoners like householders like us, it becomes very difficult because we are living in something. We are attached to our phones. There's a lot of attachments.
Yeah.
When you're totally detached, that is when you can pass on those. Detachment is the first step, and that is Ketu.
Exactly.
Okay, Ketu is detachment, completely detaching yourself, and that is why you see the Western cultures is predominantly Rahu. Why? Because they believe in Agami karma and Kriyamani karmas. What is Agami? Agami is which is coming. Okay, because of the actions that you do today, there is certain, either you benefit in this lifetime. Do not think that the concept of karmas is I have done something bad in my past karma and I'm suffering because of that. Also, the karmas that you do today, okay, have to bear some results in this lifetime, and those are called as Agami karmas, which are coming, the forthcoming ones. And then there is something called as Kriyamani karmas. What is Kriyamani karmas? It's very simple to understand Kriyamani. I feel thirsty. Okay, I go drink my water and I have quenched my thirst. That was Kriyamani karma. Okay, being thirsty was a karma because your body is asking that, give me water, and you have gone and quenched your thirst. That means that is Kriyamani. So instantaneously you have, addressed the karmas of your body by quenching your thirst. Okay. Now, do you think? I think we should go to the lessons.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can share the screen.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
I see myself on your screen. Yeah, but I can see your screen.
Can you see the slides now?
I see some porn video coming on.
Huh?
I'm just joking.
So that is Rahu. Porn is Rahu.
Right there, Rahu just got you. Rahu played a joke on you. You were like, oh shit, no.
Oh my God. So
no, I should have clicked out of that before I started the freaking hangout.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so you can see the screen. It's clear.
Yeah, I can only see I see myself on your screen.
Oh, you cannot see the.
No.
Hang on. Share screen. Let me do that again. Now?
Okay, yeah, now we can see it.
Yeah, okay.
Can you zoom into the slide?
I've done that.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Is it zoomed?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see this slide now? Visible light
Yes.
spectrum?
Yeah, I see
Okay.
the application of Rahu's energy.
Yeah, but I've moved to the next slide now.
No, I don't see the next slide.
Okay.
If you click on the next slide through the mouse, I think that's how it's going to come.
That's what I, oh. Can you see it now?
Nope.
Strange. I'm sharing my screen. Hello?
No, we're still on the first slide.
Okay.
Okay, now I see it.
You can see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. I think there is a delay.
Yeah, there's a delay.
Okay. Now, what I wanted to teach you today is to understand Rahu's functioning. Okay, I want to talk about the visible light spectrum. Okay, so this is common sense. You know that the web joy. Okay, from violet to red, and you can see the wavelengths and the frequencies. So what you understand is when you look at the red, the color red. Okay, it's got the longest wavelength and the lowest frequency. So you can see it's the longest wavelength. It's 620 to about 750 nanometers, and the frequency you see is about 400 to 484. Okay, that is. And look at the visible spectrum of violet. That has got the lowest wavelength and it has got the highest frequency. Okay. Now it's because of this phenomenon, because of the longest wavelength and lowest frequency, that you see the traffic light systems always have represented the color red, okay, as a stop. Okay, you slam your brakes whenever you see the color red. Okay.
Yeah.
And why red is because the wavelength, the color red can be seen even from a long distance, and that is why, because of the longest wavelength and the lowest frequency, it is much more visible, okay, in the visible spectrum. And that is why you see that red light is always being used in the traffic light system. And the green that you see again is used as something to say, move on. The green is pleasing because you see the trees around you. Okay, it's pleasant. So slam your accelerator again. That is what the green is saying.
Yeah.
Okay, and the green is somewhere in between in the wavelength. Now, why I did this is to understand the principles of how Rahu and how Ketu operate. You have to understand that the mythology, okay, behind Rahu and Ketu. That is during the Samudra Manthan. Now, Samudra Manthan is churning of the cosmic ocean of milk. Okay. Now, what you see here is the visible spectrum. Okay, the visible spectrum is often associated with Surya Narayan. Okay, why? Because it is Vishnu as Kurma Avatar. Kurma Avatar is your tortoise. Okay, he was balancing the mountain, okay, on his back, because the churning can take place. Otherwise, the mountain was sinking. Okay, and that is why you see that spectrum is where Vishnu's domain during the Samudra Manthan. Now, this domain, if you look at the head of Vasuki, Vasuki was the churning rope. They used Vasuki, the divine serpent, as a churning rope, okay, for churning the ocean. So the Asuras, okay, took up the head region. Why? Because the gods actually took up the head region just to con the Asuras, because they didn't want to take the head region of Vasuki. But whenever the gods took the head region, the Asuras felt that, okay, we are not inferior. Why should be they taking the head region? So they insisted on taking the head of Vasuki, and the gods happily, they said, yes, why not? Yeah, you can take the head of the Vasuki, right? Now the head of the Vasuki became what is the UV radiations. Okay, well, that is the invisible spectrum that you see. Okay, I've tried to connect the rays of the sun and with this mythology. Okay, so the invisible side on where the Asuras took, okay, took churning of the rope, that is where the ultraviolet region was. Okay, and that is where Rahu's domain is much more powerful. And on the other side, the infrared region is the wavelength, that is where the devas were. They were at the tail of the of Vasuki. Okay, and that is where Ketu's domain is, and that is why you see Ketu is called as Moksha Karaka. Why? Because that leads you into spirituality. It leads you into awareness creation, and that is the positive side of Ketu. Okay, because the devas were in the infrared region, right? The asuras are in the ultraviolet region. Okay, so I hope that you get the connection between mythology and the actual functioning of the spectrum. Okay, the electromagnetic spectrum. So on one side of the electromagnetic spectrum is ultraviolet, the other side is infrared. So always remember, whenever infrared radiations are operating, that is when Ketu's energies are operating. When ultraviolet rays are operating, that is when Rahu's energies are operating. Now, this is not only ultraviolet. Let's go to the next slide. So there is also, ultraviolet is only one of them. Okay, then there is X-ray, and then there is gamma rays.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the spectrum of Rahu's domain. Okay, so ultraviolet radiations or electromagnetic waves have multiple applications. You go on to Wikipedia.
Have you moved on to the third slide? Because that's the second one.
Oh, I've moved on to the third slide actually.
I think it's going to take time to come to the third one.
Okay. Okay. Like, now I'll be talking, and you can say this third slide has appeared.
Okay.
Okay. So what are? Let me move back and forth again to see if that is going to make any difference.
No, it's still on the second.
Okay. So what I wanted to say is, beyond the ultraviolet, the slide will come up. Has it come up?
No. It's still on the second. Okay, it came up.
Okay. Okay, brilliant. Now what you can see there is ultraviolet, and then you can see X-ray, okay, and then you see gamma rays. Can you see that in the spectrum?
Yeah.
Okay. On the other end, you see infrared, you see microwaves, and you see radio waves. Now, all I did was I went onto Wikipedia and looked up at UV rays, okay, electromagnetic waves. And when you see the applications of UV rays, you will instantly connect with Rahu, and you say, okay, all these things are Rahu. Okay, so these are ones which I've taken from Wikipedia. It says photography. Okay,
yeah, that's true.
Photography is Rahu.
Yeah.
Okay, this is I'm just purely talking about applications of UV ultraviolet electromagnetic waves from Wikipedia. I'm not going anywhere else. Okay, just connect with this, and you will see instantaneously how it is connected to Rahu. Electrical and electronic industry. Okay,
yeah.
Forensic science. Wherever there is murders or suicide or something happens, and the forensic team comes in, they also use UV radiations to find out what must have happened, for fingerprinting and all of that. The fourth application I saw is air purification. Okay, now how air purification? Air purification happens because UV radiations kill the germs. Okay, and we have a natural ozone layer which helps us to purify this air. The ozone layer is a protective layer around us. Okay. Fifth, UV radiations are used for sterilization and disinfection of typically medical tools and equipments. Right? In therapy, which is skin diseases, they're also used as bug zappers. What are bug zappers? Bug zappers are whenever the bugs are attracted to UV rays, and then they are burnt out because of the electric coil. Okay, there is an electric coil. So all birds, mostly all reptiles, cats, dogs, butterflies, ants, termites, these people, the vision of these birds and animals and reptiles are very sensitive to UV radiations. Okay, and that is why many people say that the cats and dogs at home, the domesticated ones, they can actually see ghosts or spirits walking in, because the ghosts and spirits are Rahu. Okay, they are operating, or they are in the UV radiation, which is beyond the visible spectrum of a normal human being. Okay, so it is that spectrum, and out of them, the honeybees are very, very, very powerful they're very powerful because they have great scanning abilities. The eyes are of these honeybees are to scan for nectar, okay, and they operate only in ultraviolet radiations. I'll come to that, okay. Then you see CT scan. What is CT scan? Computed tomography or radiotherapy.
Yeah.
What do you use radiotherapy for? You use radiotherapy for cancer, for killing cancerous cells.
Yeah.
Okay. You use X-rays again to scan into your body and to find out what is going wrong inside your body, isn't it? So all these, you see that Rahu is connected with the undiagnosed diseases like cancer, but Rahu itself finds the cure for these this cancer. Okay, through radiotherapy, through CT scan, you can actually scan your body. Okay, and then finally, when you go into the gamma rays or the gamma radiation, is where the nuclear fission happens.
Yeah.
Okay, the explosions happen. The hypernovas which happen. The Big Bang theory that we talk about. The Big Bang theory that we talk about is essentially what is the genesis of the universe, isn't it? That is what modern physics talks about, and all accepted theories talk about the Big Bang theory. Now, Big Bang theory, whenever you say, we can connect it very easily with Shiva, isn't it? Because Shiva is all about dissolution. Shiva is all about destruction. Correct? Now, I always believe that Shiva comes first, and then comes Brahma, and then comes Vishnu. Although whenever we say Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, isn't it? Because we think that Shiva always comes in the end,
right,
to destroy everything. But also remember, without destruction, without chaos, without this explosion or the Big Bang, how can there have been life? So it is a prerequisite that Shiva comes, and when there is perfect balance, he imbalances, and because of the imbalance, that is when life comes or life takes birth. So it is a prerequisite. So Rahu's energies are operating at this level. It becomes it is actually the genesis where you see of this universe, and you also see I'm connecting it. Okay, the Big Bang theory and Rahu, because of his rule, it rules over explosions and nuclear fission and hypernovas. Okay. So
absolute sense. Yeah.
So did you understand? Have you ever read about anything like this in any books? If you haven't, but what we do is because you have never understood the planets by studying them in a scientific manner. We always thought that these planets are doing something to us, but once you understand the concept, there is a rationale behind it. It becomes much easier. Okay. Now this thing, what I wanted to quickly tell you is, this is Rahu's yantra. Okay, this is numerological totem. Okay, although I say the number of Rahu is 8. Okay, why it is 8? Because I see the lowest number in this yantra, okay, is number 8. Okay, that is the root of Rahu's energy. Now there are so many numerological systems which also talk about Saturn being associated with number 8, which is common.
Right.
You can't take any numerological book.
System.
You take all those, they talk about Saturn, isn't it? But remember, Rahu is only a higher octave or a higher harmonic of Saturn.
Right.
Okay.
I'm still
so the energy
the slide. Maybe if you double click it again, it will come back again.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Now it's on. Yeah.
Okay, because I had actually moved to the next slide and I was talking about this. So can you see Rahu's yantra now?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see the number 8 there?
Yep, on the very top.
So, yeah, very top. That is the lowest number there. Okay. And that is why I connect number 8 with Rahu as a numerological totem. Okay. And this is the yantra. And the beauty of this yantra, okay, is when you add all the numbers in the rows, you get one number, which is 36. You go along the columns, you still get 36.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I add all of those numbers, it gives me the magic number 108.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was talking about the 8 and 108. Now 108 is a magical number, isn't it?
Yep.
If you understand, they say the distance between the Earth and the Moon, again is a multiple of 108. The distance between the Earth and the Sun is again a connection. You can see it is astronomical. I'm not talking about anything with astrology now.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look at they say I cannot remember. I think it's the diameter of the Earth, and 108 times the diameter of the Earth would be the distance between the Moon and the Earth, or if it is the other way around, I don't remember. But you can go and read about them astronomically. Similarly, they say the diameter of the Sun, okay, and 108 times the diameter is the perfect distance between Earth and the Sun.
Wow.
This is not me. You go up and read about them, and this is astronomy, which is speaking, and our ancients knew about the power of 108. It is not a number that you use for chanting. You have your rosary or your beads that you chant with. People, whenever you say you want to chant mantras, you say always chant 108, isn't it?
Yep.
You didn't know the meaning, but go and find astronomically. You will find a connection between the distance of these planets, okay, are perfectly aligned to this number 108. So that again shows you the genesis of and Rahu's importance in our lives, okay, because of this cosmic phenomenon that you see. Rahu is greatly influencing us today.
Absolutely. Wow.
Now, Rahu and the numbers. Now I want to talk about spiders. Now, spiders, why? Because look at the spider. Spiders have 8 legs.
Yeah.
Okay. They are called as anarchinids, I think. Okay, or arthropods. I put that from Wikipedia. They say spiders are air-breathing arthropods having 8
I
legs
still see the
and fangs and inject venom.
Yantra
So
slide.
the connection. Oh, can you see
Okay,
it
now
now?
I see it.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to you, then it comes up.
Okay. So can you see the spider there?
Yep.
It's 8
Yep.
legs. So what Wikipedia says is these are 8 legs animals, and what they do, spiders are found everywhere in the world except with the exception of Antarctica. That is what Wikipedia says. Okay, so you can say Rahu's influence is not there in Antarctica. Okay, it's pun intended. I'm just joking, but you can say that Rahu is there everywhere, because whenever you have these insects, like spiders, like scorpion, like snakes, your serpents, which have a venom inside them, then you can see that connection with Rahu. Okay. Now, why I have taken the spider? I've specifically taken the spider because the spider weaves a beautiful web, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, what is this web? What is the spider's intention of doing this web? Because it wants to attract and insects, and they fall prey to these webs, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Now think of this web which the spider weaves as the illusion or the Maya. Okay. If spider is Rahu creates an illusionary web. Okay. And the headless Ketus, like us, we are headless Ketus. We go and fall into Rahu's web.
Yeah.
Okay. Because Rahu always attracts insects. Spider always attracts insects to come and fall into its web. And this is what I wanted to show you. The connection with, the functioning of spider is very similar to how Rahu functions. Okay.
Interesting.
Now, can you see the next slide now?
Yes.
Now, I also said the honeybees, okay, have a connection with the Rahu, and they operate in the visible, the ultraviolet region, because that's when their eyesights are much more powerful. Okay. Now, when you read more about the honeybees, that you will know that there is a clan of honeybees called as scouting bees. Okay, what are these scouting bees? They go and they go and they scan the area. Okay, they scout for nectar. They go and wherever they see there is nectar, they come back, and then they perform something called as a waggle dance. Okay, it's like the dance floor. They perform a dance, and the dance of these attracts the follower bees which are there, and the follower bees, they are basically dancing in the form called as waggle dance, which is in the shape of 8, the number 8. Okay, and that shows the follower bees where the nectar is just by the dance. Okay, and there is a perfect way how these people dance, and that is aligned with the sun. Okay, let me show you that. Can you see the slide now?
Yes.
Okay, now these are the forager bees are the scouting bees. Once they come back after, they see, okay, they have spotted that there is a lot of nectar in this region. They come back to the hive and they form a sort of a dance which is 8 shape, in the form of a 8. It's called as waggle dance, and that is perfectly aligned with the sun and the beehive, and it tells the follower bees in which direction to go to find the nectar. And they actually tell you exactly at what distance, just through this dance, at what distance you can find the nectar.
Wow.
Isn't it?
That's amazing. I've never actually heard of that, even like watching like National Geographic on bees.
Yeah.
Never
I know.
Found that till today.
Yeah. Go and read about them. They are on Wikipedia. Everybody can read. It is not something that I'm trying to create. Okay. Similarly, the bees have another way of communicating. That is their language. The bees communicate communication language. They also have a dance called as tremble dance. And whenever they do the tremble dance, they are telling the bees that do not go in this direction. There is no nectar there.
Wow.
Okay. This is like the traffic light system of the bees. Is to tell you exactly where you can find the nectar. Okay.
Okay.
So why did I do this theory is before I went and taught you about the rationale behind Rahu Kalam. Can you see the slide now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So now you understand the importance of ultraviolet radiations, how the birds, the reptiles, the bees, are all working towards or working in with the help of these ultraviolet radiations. Okay, because they help these bees and these animals, these birds. However, for us as human beings, only certain amount of ultraviolet radiations are good for us, and if they are beneficial. And there is also certain amount of ultraviolet radiations which are harmful for the human health. Okay. Now, Rahu Kalam concept, okay, is basically the ancients found out that during a specific, time zone or a time period during the day, on a specific day, the ultraviolet radiations on the earth plane are, they're not beneficial, but they are harmful. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So what they did was and what they found out was a perfect system. Now, what was that system? Let me show you the system. Is what they did was, you take the day from sunrise to sunset. Okay. Wherever you are, Rahu Kalam is going to be different for that place, because the sunrise time and the sunset time is different for every place, right? Yeah. So it is not going to be fixed. So it is going to be different for different regions. So divide the day from sunrise to sunset into 8 parts of 1.5 hours each. Okay, so that makes it 12 hours. So for hypothetically, what I've taken is, I've taken 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So those are the 12 hours. And first 1.5 hours in the day on a Sunday is ruled by red, color red at sunrise. Okay. On a Monday, the first hora, or it is not the hora, it is the first 1.5 hours, is ruled by, it is controlled by violet. The color violet is more prominent during that hour.
Yeah.
That 1.5 hours. Okay. And then what you see is the next period of the 8 parts, which is your ultraviolet, much more significant, or
so
they
are more
harmful.
Regarding this theory.
Yeah.
So that means Rahu has three different ways of controlling time in a day, one is Rahu Kal, one is the sun's rise and the sunset time that you talked about early on, and the third
Correct.
one is this timing of ultraviolet light.
Absolutely, you're right.
So how do we, like, if for a common man, how do they perceive these timings? Like, is there one timing which is bad, one timing which is good, or is it that all the Rahu times you should do one activity, not the other? Let's say sunrise, sunset time, Rahu Kal, and the ultraviolet time. Is it something you should ignore at the same time, or not ignore the other one? Ignore the other one. I mean, I'm just trying to clarify the audience on that.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question, Kapil. Whenever you look at the Sandhya Kal, when Rahu is very active, I said Rahu is very active.
Yeah.
That is the perfect time to do meditation or your prayers or appeasing the god. Okay. Even in the evening. So whenever you see, there is a slight variation in the evening setting sun. When the Rahu is working, it is working in more, and it has more energies of Venus. It brings a little bit of Venusian qualities in the Rahu. And that is why you see, all romantic scenes are shot, are shot in the setting sun, and when the man and the women are holding arms, or they're doing the heart shape and all of that. That is when the energies of romanticism, because Rahu's guru Venus is very, very active, and those times are very good for relationships. Okay, that is why you go on the beach side, okay, and you see the setting sun and you sit with your partner. It is so beautiful.
That is so true.
Okay, and the morning sunrise has the more impact of Mercury on, the Rahu's energies is mixed with Mercury, which means you're opening up your eyes and you are looking forward for a day. You're more energetic. You want to delve into that day and want to enjoy. So that is when you want to dive deeper into yourself and try to meditate and try to understand what you want, conserve those energies, and try to find out what energies that you can utilize for the day. That is the Sandhya Kal. Now, the Rahu Kal is typically when the sun is very active, okay, and when the ultraviolet radiations are much more profound on the earth plane. And our ancient seers, what they said was, try to avoid, I think I have that in the last slide. Now, what during Rahu,
I can hear you, Dr. Pai.
Can you see my slide?
Yeah, I can see your slide, but I think you were breaking up for like 10 seconds there.
Okay. Now is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what our ancient said is, it is not advisable to commence any travel during Rahu Kal. Okay. Especially, do not travel in the southern direction, or if it is possible, avoid Rahu Kal for traveling.
And Rahu Kal is the time of ultraviolet that you have specified here.
Exactly. And they are saying, do not go out and expose yourself to the sun. Try to avoid these specific hours and cut down on travel. Okay, cut down on travel. Or if you want to commence anything, or you want to start new activities, you wanted to start a course, you want to launch a course, or you want to start teaching, avoid these Rahu Kal. Okay, because these are not very, the energies are not very conducive for growth. Okay. In case they have said, they've also given a remedy. They've said, in case it is unavoidable that you want to commence something during the same period, during the Rahu Kal, they say essentially do Durga Ashtakam or Durga, Saptasati Sloka must be chanted. These are two remedies that the ancients have given us. They said, in case you're not able to avoid these times and you want to commence your journey or you want to start something, then in Rahu Kal, appease Durga Ashtakam by chanting Durga Saptashati Sloka. Okay.
So Durga, why Durga specifically and not Shiva or Krishna?
Yeah, Durga is because, if you remember, Durga is very strongly connected with Rahu.
Okay.
Durga is, the destroyer of the demons. Okay, she's a fierce form, and she comes. What is the mount of Durga? Sometimes you see she comes on a tiger, and some she is called as Sherovali.
I
Sherovali,
mean, yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. I'm like, is Durga the Sheravali Mata?
Yes,
Okay.
Sherovali Mata.
All right.
Okay, Durga is the Sherovali Mata.
Okay.
And Rahu again is the leonine. I said leonine because it belongs to the family of the lions, because he was born from his mother. Okay, so Simika she was an Asur, and she was born from the lineage of the lions. She has leonine qualities. So another leonine, Shirovali, which is Durga, okay, Shirovali, she has control over Rahu. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is
You know,
the concept.
I just have a really quick question. Have you
Sure.
ever pondered why Rahu is not considered exalted in Leo when Leo is ruled by the lion, the cat? And Rahu has the ride of the lion, the cat.
Actually, if I tell you,
And if you look at all
Rahu,
the celebrities, some major celebrities have had Rahu in the sign of Leo, especially the nakshatra of Magha.
absolutely, you're very, very bang on, and you're perfectly right. And what my theory is, if you look at Rahu is exceptionally powerful in Leo. Okay, let us not. It might not be exalted as per our seers. Okay, but it is very, very powerful. Also remember, Rahu and Ketu in the category of all the grahas, they have got the highest status. Did you know that? They have been given the highest status in terms of power. Rahu and Ketu are very, very powerful. And whenever Rahu comes in conjunction with either Sun or comes in conjunction with Lagna, which is ascendant, or whenever it falls in Leo, it brings in qualities of, it becomes easier for the soul or the native to express its inner personality. Okay, Rahu is about outer personality. So the inner personality of the person is very easily expressed because Sun is the karaka for the soul or the atma.
Right.
Okay? Now, whenever Rahu's influence comes, Rahu, I said, is amplification, magnification. It magnifies the energies of whatever planets it is sitting with or it is conjoined with, amplifies the energies of the planet which is aspecting it. Okay, so this amplification, this thing is seen very predominantly, and that is why you see that Rahu, whenever it is connected with Leo, Rahu, whenever it is connected with Sun, although you say Sun becomes eclipsed, but whenever it is connected with Lagna, such personalities, such souls makes it very easy for them to express themselves very easily outside because of Rahu's qualities.
Okay.
And that is why you see they are connected more with people like celebrities in the movie industry, politicians, very, very powerful and very visible personalities in the world. Okay.
Yeah.
That is where you see the connection, right? Now also see that today in the cosmos you see Jupiter is with Rahu. Okay.
Yeah.
I said Rahu is the honeybee.
Yep.
Okay. And Jupiter is the honey. Okay. Jupiter is the honey. So Jupiter and Rahu, whenever they come together, it is called, people call it Guru Chandal Yoga. But I say that is when the maximum knowledge is going to come out. And that is why you see so much of knowledge of Rahu outpouring on public, in social media. Because it is a retrograde Jupiter, which is the honeybee, which is of knowledge, nectar of knowledge. And the honeybee is drawn. We are all Rahus. We are being drawn to this knowledge. We are being drawn to this wisdom of Jupiter.
That is so amazing. Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think, Kapil, I hope I've answered your questions. If there is any more questions.
I mean, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, man, automatically, without thinking, I'm like, let me make a movie on Rahu and release And it's right where Rahu is in a Guru Chandal Yoga with Jupiter, giving out the maximum knowledge through help of photography. I mean, it's just, it's crazy to think. And I never calculated that, oh, when Rahu will come in Leo, I will make a movie on Rahu. No, I feel, and I do believe strongly that it's the energy of Rahu that said, no, you're gonna make a movie on me because I'm sitting on a throne, on a royal throne. I want to be treated like a lower royal throne. You're gonna make a movie on me. And
Absolutely.
I think that's what happened.
And that is what is happening now. You see, why I am being attracted to come and speak about Rahu. Why it wouldn't be the sun? Because today, you see, it is also the social media.
Yeah.
Oh, the social media. Okay, where it is all Rahu, isn't it? It is through these mediums, through television, through doing short documentaries like you have done.
Yeah.
Through through YouTube, through Facebook. People are learning more about these karmic nodes.
Yeah.
And there is new knowledge which is coming out, which Ernest came and talked about so beautifully about Rahu.
Yeah.
And I know in Saptarishis, Dharmesh Mehtaji came and spoke about Rahu so beautifully. There's so done the video. So everywhere Rahu's energies are very powerful, and you rightfully said Rahu has taken the throne now. Rahu is very, very powerful today.
Like he wants to be recognized. He's like, make me recognized, put me on the throne. And I'm like, okay, you asked for it, I'll do it. And then I just feel like this slave to his energy. Like, I'm like, okay, let me, and I'm telling you, Arjun Pai, I never cared for making some sort of a short movie on astrology, but suddenly I wake up in one morning, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I should just put something entertaining on Rahu. And I'm telling you, it is Rahu that made me do this, nothing else. It's not my thinking that made me do this. No, it is Rahu that said, you're going to take this idea, put it into photography form, and make me feel like a king.
Absolutely.
And you know how in my movie I made Rahu look like a 9 feet tall guy? Exactly. With this majestic quality? I'm like, okay, I'm here. Yes, you got me. Isn't that amazing?
The physical appearance of Rahu in our concept is also a tall man or tall structure with a windy constitution.
Yeah,
that is what Rahu is all about. So it was perfect, and we were discussing about this, just before we went live here. If you remember, every shot of that video, I could see the connection with Rahu. Okay, it was so beautiful. I said that the first scene with the rain, in the woods, the dried woods, that is Ardra Nakshatra. Ardra Nakshatra is ruled by Rudra, which is the deity Rudra, and the Rudra is storms and rains and the rainfall. Okay, that was the first scene. The second scene that you see is these dried, grass swaying in the wind. Okay. So it is Swati Nakshatra, again a Rahu ruled Nakshatra, because it is a single blade of grass swaying in the wind, which shows the tenacity, okay, in the beginning, but you become more profound. And then the third scene, you see that you are going to meet your astro psychologist, your friend, Vijay. Okay, that is your Shatabisha. Shatabisha means 100 wheelers.
And I never realized it till he told me. I'm like, holy shit. I actually chronologically put all the nakshatras together without even thinking about it.
Absolutely. And every object that you've used, the umbrella is Rahu. Why is the umbrella a Rahu? Because it eclipses the sun. It protects you from the sun rays.
Exactly.
Okay? Did you understand? Similarly, the curtains in your house are Rahu. Why they are Rahu? Because they are used as shades to cover the sunlight from coming in. So every object, the cigar, because smoke is Rahu. Rahu is smoky.
Yeah.
The cigar. Then the alcohol is Rahu. The chopping of the garlic is Rahu. So perfect.
The meat, the red meat that I was cooking.
The red meat you're cooking, Rahu. Beautiful. I think it was one of the greatest videos I've seen, and I thoroughly enjoyed.
Thank you. I mean, I didn't know. I just put it together. I threw it out. I know what people will think, but it was shocking to see how it has the reaction that it has gotten. And I'm like, it's not me. I think Rahu was just inside me saying that I'm gonna make a movie on me, and here you go. That's it.
I think you're absolutely right. Even today, Kapil, as we speak, I still feel we are only channels. It is Rahu speaking to us.
It.
We are just channels. That's
Rahu, the way I made Rahu look like, I think Rahu is like that. Rahu said, this is what I look like. I am this demonic figure, but I'm hidden under this veil of black clothes because I want to hide myself. But I am this obsessive energy, but I'm a good guy. I'm a bad guy. Understand me. And I'm like, and after releasing my movie, I'm like sitting there just in my computer looking. And I'm like, how the hell did I come up with this idea and made into this movie? I'm like, no, it cannot be me. It is just this energy of Rahu sitting on a royal throne. It's like, I want to be appreciated. Who is it that can appreciate me? Oh, this guy on YouTube. He talks about me a lot. Let me go and haunt him subconsciously.
And that is what you talked about, sleep paralysis. That's what you talked about as well.
Here's the thing. I don't think I even told you this. I made a video on sleep paralysis 2 years ago. As to why I moved out of my mother's house into an apartment with my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife. I had a sleep paralysis so strong, Arjun, so strong that I could not live in my mom's house the next day. And I saw the exact same figure of this tall black being with the long face, these long scary eyes and a black figure. And I simply took that image and I made it into Rahu. If you watch my video, Sleep Paralysis, I simply took that image and I'm like, how do I should make him look, Rahu look like? And I subconsciously immediately in a nanosecond got that image of Rahu that I saw of this, my body just shifting towards the bed without me able to move anything of my own. And that day I told my mom, my sister, I'm like, I'm not going to sleep in this house anymore. I'm done. And my sister, the same night, told me in the next morning, look, something held my hand. And something held my hand and told me that whatever this is going on, I'm in control and you're not. And I'm like, you suffered this, I suffered this, I'm out of here. I am not in this house anymore. And after that, I suffered maybe 2 or 3 times more, and it just vanished. But I just took that personification of Rahu in my sleep paralysis, and I made that into the image of Rahu. So with the Rahu that you see, you know that the guy with the mask and that scary face and the black veil, that's it. I just took my vision of that sleep paralysis and I'm like, okay, this is what Rahu should look like this. That's it. You know, and that was it. So I get what you're saying here. So
no, I think it was brilliant. It was brilliant. And the more videos on Rahu are going to come out, more videos on them. And I'm going to share more knowledge about Rahu. So when Rahu is active now, let Rahu come out.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I mean, I don't even know how I came up with the idea, how I filmed the movie. Feels like a dream now. How in the world did I do this all of a sudden? And now I see that it was just Rahu channeling subconsciously and hypnotizing me to make this movie. And okay, there you go. You got your throne through me. I'm not in control. You are, sir.
I think Ketu is not too far behind now.
I know. No. It's so funny you said that. Today, out of nowhere, it snowed in Washington, D.C. Out of nowhere. It's springtime. It snowed. And it's snowing heavily. And I'm like, this is a beautiful scene on my window that I'm sitting right now in my office. And I don't even know if I can share this pic, if it won't allow me to. But I actually took the opening scene of the Ketu movie, which I don't know when I'll film, but I got the opening scene of looking at this snowy scene of the snow falling in front of my room, of my office, and the camera panning back and coming next to Ganesha.
Lovely.
That's it. I'm like, that is my opening scene. Ketu is Ganesha.
Yeah,
it's snowing. It's perfect scene. So that's it. I mean, Rahu said you're gonna have to give me some time now too. I need a spotlight too. So here you go. It snowed and it made me suddenly take my camera out, my equipment out, and I did it. Just that 20-30 second scene. I'm like, that's it. It's the opening scene of my Ketu movie that I'll make next.
Fantastic.
So this is crazy info, and I'm so glad that I brought you. I brought Ernest, and I did this because I think Rahu just needs to be heard now. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what it is. He wants to be like, this is who I am. This is my true nature. And now that I'm leaving the rulership of my yug from Kali Yuga to Drapi Yuga, know about me, and you better miss me when I'm gone.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's
so thank you so much, Dr. Pai. I don't know. I mean, I guess if people want to contact you for consultation, I guess you're not doing consultation.
No, I don't do consultation. No.
So I mean, you're just here in a. But hey, you got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I've got a YouTube channel.
Dr. Arjun Pai YouTube channel. Subscribe to that. That's madness right there.
Yeah, that's where I'm
so
sharing.
Just search for Dr. Arjun Pai on YouTube, and you'll get your channel. All right.
That's right.
So thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you.
You saved us today.
Okay. Thanks to Rahu as well. Thank you. Bye bye.